Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, and I've spent a lot of this Astros season so far telling people to remain calm and chill the hell out with the mashing of the panic button. Well, over the last couple weeks, I myself have been forced to use my left hand to slap my right hand away from the panic button. It was bad enough having to start the season without Jose Altuve because of the broken thumb he sustained during the World Baseball Classic, and we all knew Lance McCullers Jr. would take time to get back. But holy shit, the last couple weeks, it seems like we can't catch a break. We lost Luis Garcia to Tommy John reconstructive elbow surgery, so he is done for the year. And that was after Jose Urquidy went down with a shoulder injury, so our starting pitching is in a really weird spot now. Plus, Chas McCormick obviously went down, and then his return got delayed by a sore back. Michael Brantley finished out his AAA rehab assignment and then was supposed to join the team in Anaheim, and then I think he did, but then he is now delayed from playing because of unspecified reasons. And Mauricio Dubon went from a 20-game hitting streak to a hamstring injury. It has been a shitstorm. Someone make it stop. We got no hitting. We got no pitching. Our pets' heads are falling off. So while I gave many of you shit for panicking too early, after dipping back to 500 and failing to build any momentum whatsoever, I started to panic a little myself. And you know what? I think it is mostly because I so enjoy watching this team beat the shit out of people that having to endure this waiting game of mediocrity until we're hopefully at somewhere close to full strength again sometime soon is just an absolute nightmare. It's just the opposite of the experience that I have come to know and be comfortable with over the past several seasons. It's robbing me of my Astros joy and instead putting me in a stressful place that, frankly, I am no longer comfortable with. So just cross your fingers and pray to all the gods that you're in good standing with that somehow we get healthy and start crushing soon, or I'm going to become one of the panicky pussies I routinely mock on this show. And I can't have that. I can't. We're 5-5 over our last 10 games, 4 games back of the Rangers in the division, which makes me want to vomit just saying it out loud. And we're playing a brand of all-around inconsistent baseball that bumps up against the championship standards we've come to know and love as Houston Astros fans. It's tough sledding right now. It is. This sucks. It sucks. We didn't get through another miserable Texans season, another miserable Rockets season, just to endure what so far has been a little bit of a miserable Astros season. We don't suck by any means, but we're definitely not where we all thought we would be by, nearly halfway through May at this point. That being said, I still have faith that things will shake out in the end. I'm just having to constantly remind myself that injuries happen in sports. We've had a run of bad luck here as of late, and the tide will inevitably turn in our favor because we have too much talent on this roster for it not to. In some ways, it feels like the season hasn't even really started yet for this team. So there's a lot of ground for us to do some good. Now, that being said, Jose Abreu has got to be better. He's got to be. If I have to watch him hit into one more double play with runners in scoring position, I am going to fucking lose it. I am going to snap. Look, frankly, where we are currently with the way Abreu has been performing, the way Montero has been performing, the interim GM, unofficially, Jeff Bagwell, looks like kind of a dumbass. Like maybe Jim Crane did get a little cocky after that last championship run and firing Jim Click immediately after winning another ring and just kind of letting his boys and Jeff Bagwell run the show until we hired Dana Brown may have been a little bit of an oversight, a little bit of a mistake, because Montero stinks. And frankly, Montero was the pitcher I had the least amount of faith in our entire bullpen last season. Like, I didn't have a great feeling about Montero, but apparently the team did, or Jeff Bagwell did, or Jim Crane did, because we signed him to that extension, and now he's out there, and he looks like a disaster. He's not worth any of that money we threw at him. I don't like it. I don't like our new first baseman. I don't like that Yuli is raking in fucking Miami or wherever he's playing now, and we've got the 2020 MVP stinking it up at first. I can't watch him hit any more double play. I just can't fucking do it. I can't. There is no player single-handedly stressing me out more on this team than Jose Abreu. He has got to do something. He has got to find some momentum. Somebody has to do something about that dude. Like, it is. I can't watch it. Like, we're gonna have to get Brantley to play first when he comes back or something. Apparently, he's been taking reps. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but Jose Abreu has got to be better. Yainer Diaz should be our starting catcher at this point. I no disrespect to Maldi. He's hit a couple of bombs recently. He's swinging the bat a little bit better over the last couple weeks, but just like Diaz has a fucking cannon. He is making people who try to steal second look absolutely foolish. And he can hit fairly well. Definitely hits better than Maldonado. I love Maldi. He's a legend. Hell of a call. Like, he can call a great game. But I don't think he is long for this world in terms of being our starting catcher. And if he is, it does feel a little bit like, as Sean Pendergast has called it, malpractice from Dusty Baker if we don't get Diaz out there soon as the regular starter, because the kid is just, he's great. He's throwing fucking laser beams to second base. And I need to see it every game. Alex Bregman needs to start being the Alex Bregman we all know and love in the batter's box. He usually starts slow. We can't afford that right now. We're 4 games back of the Rangers, 1 game above 500, and it's May 12th. I don't want to watch Bregman looking for a walk every time he's at the plate anymore. I realize he gets on base. I realize that on the whole, his batting average doesn't speak to his overall impact offensively. I don't give a fuck. I need to see more. He's supposed to be an all-star leader of this team, and at this point, frankly, a veteran, and he is not bringing that presence that I need to see. And we all go through shit in life. I don't know where he's at right now, what's going on, but he doesn't seem like he's dialed in all the way, and that has been the case far too often over the last couple seasons. Even as we've had success, at some points, Bregman has felt like he was sort of just like lost in the mix of it all. And he tends to step up when it matters most. Well, now would be a time because we fucking need him. We need a spark. Somebody's got to do it. And before Altuve comes back, he's the guy I'm looking to offensively. It can't be Yordan. He's just Yordan. He's on another level. He's his own guy. You just get the job of Bregman and everybody batting before him is to get the fuck on base so that Yordan can bring you home or so that Kyle Tucker can bring you home. And right now, Bregman's just not getting on often enough for me to be comfortable. He's not mashing the way that I would like to see him mash. You know what I'm saying? So on the whole, our offense needs to be shocked back to life, which will hopefully happen with the return of Jose Altuve, which begins with his injury rehab assignment in AAA tonight, Friday night. Altuve is getting back out there on the field playing baseball, which is huge. That's what we all want. But I mean, look, we all knew not having Altuve out there batting first would be a problem for the offense. He's the literal heartbeat of the team. But I didn't think it would be like this, man, where most games I'm just praying for runs at this point. It just doesn't. We're just not as explosive as I would like to see us be when I know we have that potential there. That's the frustrating thing about this team is we've had other guys step up. Dubon stepped up hugely, but I'm not seeing the production I expected from guys that I thought would be good pieces, like Bregman, who's been there forever, Abreu, who I thought would be, I thought that was a good decision when it was made. But that being said, I'm not a fucking baseball genius. It's not my job to know whether or not we should yet let Yuli go and bring somebody else in from 2020 fame. Like, I didn't know. I was just like, it seems like a good move. Yuli's old as fuck. This guy's a little younger. He just won MVP a few years ago. What's the big deal? But he stinks. That's the big deal. So hopefully Altuve comes back soon. And in the meantime, everything I just said aside, positive vibes only. Keep your heads up. Hashtag ready to rain. If you're a sports bettor looking for a place to get some action during the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, MLB regular season, or on UFC fights or boxing matches, and you want to make your picks at a place that supports our show, today's sponsor, MyBookie, is the way to go. Just use code ROSS when you sign up to unlock a deposit bonus. Stipulations apply, and you'll get even more dough to throw at your favorite sporting events. MyBookie has all the prop bets, live lines, alternate lines, and futures that you could possibly need for all the sports all year long. Great online casino as well with live dealers, live blackjack, live roulette, all the good live stuff. And right now, if you join the MyBookie family using code ROSS, ROSS, when you check out to support the show, you'll instantly receive a deposit bonus giving you even more dough to throw at your favorite sporting events. So what are you waiting for? If you're already betting on sports elsewhere and you're down to do so on a great platform that also supports your favorite Houston sports podcast, code ROSS at mybookie.ag is the way to do it, folks. Just use code ROSS to unlock that deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. In Houston Texans news, the team has continued their quest of putting together a respectable offensive line by finalizing a contract extension with Shaq Mason, which makes him one of the highest paid guards in the league. We all know our quarterback's name now, which is nice, CJ Stroud, but having an offensive line that's respectable enough for fans to learn their names would be a huge step in the right direction, and Shaq Mason's extension is a step in the right direction for that reason. The Texans and Mason agreed to a 3-year contract extension for $36 million, which includes $10 million guaranteed signing bonus and $22 million in guaranteed money. We picked him up from the Buccaneers in March in exchange for a 6th-round pick. For those of you who were not paying attention at that point, I know that I certainly wasn't yet. And we extended him this week. We obviously already extended Laramie Tunsil and made him the highest paid offensive tackle in NFL history. So it looks like Cal McNair, our owner, is really investing in the success of the offensive line, which is huge because everybody knows, step one, you must have someone who can throw the football, which we've largely failed to do as a franchise over the course of our existence. Step two, you need somebody who's going to protect the guy, a group of men who are going to protect the guy throwing the football, and that's the offensive line. If you don't know about football, you have to have an offensive line. You got to have an O-line, and we're building one that at least on paper looks respectable. So between Shaq Mason, Laramie Tunsil, and Kenyon Green, I'm starting to feel pretty good about what we've got brewing with the O-line. Shaq Mason is apparently also being tasked with mentoring Green, who will be starting opposite Shaq on the offensive line. Green was obviously our first-round pick in 2022, so he's still young, needs that veteran guidance, which he should be getting from Shaq, and those are good things. This could end up being, if it all shakes out well, like we're not there yet. I know everything feels really positive right now with regard to the Texans, but if it all shakes out well, it could end up being the greatest offseason in Houston Texans history, frankly, and I am here for it. Very much here for it. Now, that being said, when I was growing up in Houston with the Oilers, the biggest name in football was Warren Moon, for those of you who are old enough to remember. But when the Oilers moved to Tennessee and became the Titans in 1997, the Titans retained all the rights to all things pertaining to the Oilers, which was a massive L for Houston football fans. And according to none other than Warren Moon, the Titans are apparently going to wear Oilers throwbacks at some point during the 2023 season, potentially against the Texans. Moon was interviewed by FanDuel last week where he stated, quote, "I talked with the owner about it. She was waiting for the helmets to be approved. Now that you can wear the helmet, we are wearing the whole uniform this year, and it could be against the Houston Texans." This is a pathetic move from the Titans, frankly. That isn't your team. Those aren't your colors. The logo has absolutely nothing to do with you, your franchise, your team. That's our shit. That's Houston shit. That's Houston culture. I hope we beat the fucking piss out of the Titans this season because it genuinely pisses me off. It's like they're attempting to steal our history as a franchise. It's cultural appropriation, and I won't stand for it. That being said, Tennessee's social media team crushed that schedule release. That was a hilarious video. The Texans. And if you are wondering Whether I will discuss the Houston Texans schedule for next season, I will not. No, I think like 6 wins would be a positive outcome for us and a realistic expectation. We aren't good enough for anyone, unless it is your sole job because you work for the fucking Chronicle, to be analyzing the schedule game by game right now. That's a step too far. We are not there. I will not participate in that madness. I will go game by game and enjoy what I'm able to enjoy. That is, there's no fucking way I'm bringing myself to that low. If you have listened to my show for long enough to know, you know my strategy is to roll into every season with as low of expectations as possible. Set the bar low, feel no pain. That is the name of the game. In other Texans-related news, JJ and his wife, Kelia? Nobody knows. JJ and his wife, though. They announced Monday that they've become minority owners in English soccer club Burnley. I feel like JJ watched too much Ted Lasso or something, or he pays too much. Maybe he's friends with Ryan Reynolds, but he's getting in on the English soccer thing, which apparently Burnley just won the EFL Championship title, which guarantees them promotion to the Premier League. So the Watts are getting in at a good time. And it's nice to see JJ making some baller moves post-American football career. He also seems, on some level, to be interested in being involved with the Texans still, even if it's just like as a fan, which has been cool. It's just been nice to see him excited about the signing of D'Amico Ryans as the new head coach, the big draft night that we had. Like, JJ's been chirping about all of it on social media and whatnot. I love seeing that. Love seeing JJ around. So, yeah. A lot going on with the Texans. And as I've said, every season, the last few seasons, just don't. I know it's been great. I know D'Amico Ryans is a big hire. I know the draft went well. I know we're stoked. But just don't get too excited, because we're still going to be trash next year. That's the important thing you have to remember. Like, no rookie quarterback comes out and just tears up the league. And our team, minus the guys we just drafted even, doesn't have enough overall talent to come out and like have some crazy mind-blowing jump from like, second worst team in the league to competing in the playoffs. That's not going to fucking happen. So don't put your brain there. Don't bring yourself that level of disappointment. Stay real about this shit. We are who we are. We're building. We've got momentum, positive things to talk about for the first time in years, but let's not overdo it. Today's episode is also brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes the most comfortable and versatile shorts, pants, and bathing suits in the entire world. I've been wearing Bird Dogs for several years now. They cannot be beaten. I wear them to sleep. I wear them to do yard work. I wear them to work out. I wear them to go swimming. I wear them to do everything. They fit great. They feel great. They look great. They're just great shorts. I would argue the GOAT shorts. They even look great on my chicken leg having ass. They're phenomenal. I've got the Art Fart Knockers, the Duffy the Vampire Slayers, the Uncle Bucks, the Teddy Rubskins. They've all got funny names if you haven't picked up on that by now. I just recently bought the Forest Pumps, Marco Pool Boys, Zero Dark 30s, and Tight Wads. If you want to look great while you're working in the yard or swimming at the pool this summer, Bird Dogs are the move. And their pants are great for the golf course or the office, or going out to dinner, or hitting the bars. So comfortable, but so versatile. That is key. So click on the link in the description below to go to birddogs.com and enter code BTC at checkout, and they will throw in a free Yeti-style tumbler with every order. That's birddogs.com, code BTC, to make sure you look good all summer long, you feel good all summer long, and you will get a free Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Birddogs.com, code BTC. Just click the link in the description below this episode to go. The NBA playoffs this year have been wild as hell. Just a lot of low seeds, like the Miami Heat, who have a chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals as an 8th seed if they can finish off the Knicks tonight. And, it was sort of fun having some excitement at Madison Square Garden again, at least for a few weeks. But the Knicks are still the Knicks, and I deeply enjoy watching the whole of their fan base drown in disappointment. So I'm hoping the Heat can finish them off. I also love Jimmy Butler, who's an H-Town guy. So I think he's from Tomball, if I'm not mistaken, which counts, if you were wondering. So yeah, go Heat. The Lakers failed to finish off the Warriors in Game 5 and now face a pivotal Game 6 tonight at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles to avoid giving the Warriors a chance at coming back and winning after being down 3-1, which we all know LeBron James does not want as part of his legacy. That whole team in LA, the Lakers right now, pretty much comes down to Anthony Davis and what he's got in his bag day by day. So LeBron is LeBron. He's great still and an ageless wonder, a freak of nature. But if Anthony Davis shits the bed, so goes the Lakers season. And if they let this thing go to 7, that's a scary proposition. They got to take care of that shit now. Game 6 tonight. Because if it goes to 7, I'm not betting on the Lakers. I'm betting on the Warriors. I don't trust that shit. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson scare the hell out of me when it comes down to it. It's like they just need one game where those dudes both catch fire behind the arc and you're fucked. There's nothing you can do with that. Nothing you can do with that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, Lakers Game 6 tonight. Jokic and the Nuggets pretty easily manhandled the Phoenix Suns, which was kind of surprising to see. I mean, just between, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and I guess Chris Paul was supposed to be there, but hey, it's the postseason, so you flip a coin, and he wasn't there this year. But that was, just an extremely lackluster postseason for Phoenix. I think that they'll be in a good spot still next year, obviously, having KD, but that's a lot of talent on the roster. He joined late in the season. They didn't have a ton of time to gel or whatever. And so I'm not, they're not done as a franchise or anything, but they're not in a good spot. And that was not what they wanted to see, Suns fans. Also, I just think generally the Denver Nuggets are not respected at the level they should be. When Jokic was announced that he was in the running for MVP again, people were like, oh, come on, 3 in a row. I think nobody's done that ever. And or it's been forever since it's happened. And, partially it's race plays a factor here. He's a big, goofy white guy. It's hard to take his game seriously just for that reason alone. And I say this as a big, goofy white guy. But when you watch him play, it's magical. It's like watching a big oaf in a pickup game just crush. It's like when an old man comes in and plays with the younger guys, but somehow has the overall fundamentals to destroy. That's his whole game, except he's not an old man, and he is very much in his prime, and is definitely one of the 3 best players in the NBA currently. The dude is unbelievable. He has crazy court vision, phenomenal footwork on offense. He just looks like a big doofus. So it's hard to take him serious until he's playing your team and wiping the floor with you. That's the way he goes. And that's kind of one of the best things about him, is he's very understated. He's also hilarious, by the way, too. Him shoving the Suns owner back into his seat, although the Suns owner did flop, and then him handing that guy the basketball the next game, pregame. He's got a great sense of humor. I'm scared of his brothers. And Jokic needs to, I think after this postseason, he will probably be getting the respect he deserves, because I wouldn't be surprised to see the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals when it's all said and done. They've looked very, very good. And of course, the series I am most interested in, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics will meet Game 7 happening Sunday night in Boston. Celtics are a heavy favorite currently, which does not, I think it's -8, does not bode well for the Sixers. Look, I don't think anybody looks at Philadelphia right now in this Game 7 and sees a threat. Because historically, their 2 superstars fade in these big moments. Harden and Embiid do not seem to thrive under pressure, is what I'm saying. Now, I will also say, I think the expectation, the only reason they're even here is James Harden, because he stepped up when Embiid was still lame. They basically won 2 games just on Harden's back alone. And the thing with James Harden, as I'm obviously a huge fan, but I've watched him play basketball a lot. And just from removing my own personal James Harden loving bias from the equation, here is the thing I have noticed. When the guy has a great Game 1, and then Game 2, he's not that guy. And then Game 3, he's not that guy. And then Game 4, he is that guy again. And people are like, what's the deal with James Harden? And then he has another so-so game, and people are like, oh, is he a big fraud? It's dude, if he could do what he did in those 2 games every night, he would be in the conversation with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. He would be one of the overall greatest basketball players in the history of the sport. He's not. He's one row below that. All right? He's one of the greatest offensive forces in the history of basketball, no argument. But he can't do it consistently enough to take himself to that like all-time great, top 20 all-time player spot. He's right below that, though. He's top 50, right? Like he's undeniably a Hall of Fame baller. But if like what people seem to think is like, oh, why can't Harden do it every night? Bitch, if he could do it every night, he would be the best player in the fucking league. Like that's he's not choosing to not do it every night. You think he wouldn't like a fucking $300 million contract next time around? If he could do it every night, he would do it every night, I assure you. He has shown us time and time again in his career that he is capable of the highest level of greatness in spurts. But not every game. He's just not that guy, pal. And you're putting unrealistic expectations on him if you're one of these people that's like, oh, look at Harden, he's a bum tonight. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're talking about. The guy is unbelievable, but he's not unbelievable all of the time. It's certain circumstances, depends on how healthy he is, how much he partied last night. There's a lot of factors you have to put in. And Harden is, I still love him. I love his game. I still hope he comes to Houston for a reasonable price at hopefully a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year team option. But it's annoying the way he gets portrayed in the media. He's just one of these guys that has a narrative around him. And yes, he was really fucking bad at defense back in the day. And yes, it's still funny to watch him try defensively sometimes because he just doesn't have the instincts for it. But he tries sometimes. And it's mostly a body language problem with him, I think. Like, he's not good at faking it. So on the nights where he doesn't quite have his shit, he tends to look like he's kind of not engaged. And that's his biggest issue to me. And like that's where a lot of the media narrative comes from. But it's like with those 2 games where he scored, I think 40 plus points both games to get Philly those wins, he was as good as you could have asked him to be. And he used to have games like that with us in Houston too, obviously. And then like the next game, he'd come out and score 15 points and like turn the ball over 8 times. And it was like, what the fuck is this guy's deal? But that is who he is. That's the guy. That's what you get when you get him. You're going to get... He's a game wrecker that can literally win one game single fucking handedly. And he's also the guy that the next night is going to come out and somebody else is going to need to step up because he doesn't have it in him anymore. And that's the way it is with Harden. So when you're looking like at this point, we're how many years into his career? Like fucking 15. And people are still bringing up the same dumb shit about Harden. The guy is who he is. Just enjoy it when he's great. And when he has an off night, find something else to focus on. Because there's nothing there in that well. It has been dried out. All right? I'll never understand what at some point, it was really, you know what? The turning point for him was when he was in Houston and D'Antoni realized like, holy shit, this guy is the only chance we have of doing anything this year. James, you get the ball every possession. We're going to isolate you. You just score as many points as you can. And when you can't score, get an assist. People watching him do that like bully ball thing and drawing fouls every other possession to get to the free throw line and shooting 20 free throws a game. Everybody hated that wasn't a Rockets fan. Everybody. And even some Rockets fans hated it. And that reputation has stuck with him and he's never shaken it. And he's always just been a guy that people like to pick on in the media and in the overall NBA narrative. And it's not fair. And it is what it is. That's one of the things that comes with being a professional athlete or an entertainer. You got to go with the punches as far as the public and the media go. But yeah, that's just my rambling thoughts on watching Harden play this postseason. Like he's still got it. Like he very much still has it. I would argue he's still in his prime, albeit the back end of his prime. He's probably got 1 or 2 years left where he's playing at as high of a level as he is, but he's not able to do what people what people want to see every night. The 40 points, 10 assists, 8 boards is not going to happen every night. You know, sprinkle in 3 steals or whatever. Like that, when he can find that middle ground though, like he did with Philly in game 5 or 6, one of the most recent 2 games. I guess the one before last because they lost to Boston. This most recent one to force game 7. In game 5, when he came out and he did like it was like 22 points. 12 assists, something like that. When he can be the facilitator, that's when the Sixers are at their best, obviously, because they've already got a guy who can score at an MVP level in Embiid. So they don't necessarily need Harden to go get 40 when Embiid is healthy. And it's a tough balancing act for James because that's a tough switch to go from, oh shit, I got to get 40 or we're going to lose, back to, okay, I've got to be a pure point guard, which he's very, very good at both. It's just, that's a massive difference in mentality that I see him struggling with sometimes. So a lot of action in the NBA playoffs this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And that will do it for today's show. But remember, every episode of Banging the Can is available on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. For those of you who would rather watch instead of just listen, youtube.com/@bangingthecan. Even if you don't want to watch, it would be helpful if you want to support the show. Go to youtube.com/@bangingthecan and subscribe on YouTube so we can continue to grow. On that note, please share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family. Support our sponsors. This week we had MyBookie at mybookie.ag. Use code ROSS, ROSS, when you deposit for that deposit bonus. And Bird Dogs at birddogs.com, code BTC to get that free Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Check out my startup, Bolin Media, at bolinmedia.com. My comedy show, The Ross Bolin Podcast, available wherever you consume Banging the Can. Follow us on TikTok at Banging the Can, as well as Twitter and Instagram at Banging the Can. If you are watching the final season of Succession, we are covering that episode by episode on my TV and film podcast, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, also available wherever you listen to Banging the Can. I am Ross Bolin. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WRBOLEN. Today's episode of Banging the Can is presented by Bolin Media. Video was produced by Cade Orris, and I will be back soon. Until next time, H-Town, stay down.